I mentioned the different techniques that you could have in short game, but really they fall into two buckets. One is going to be driven by your lead arm. The other is going to be driven by your trail. And between those two, there's still some fundamentals that are common between both. And quickly, I'm going to run through all of them. The first one is stance width. I see way too many players getting their feet way too wide in short game shots. It really limits their hip mobility and ability to move with the shot. So what we want is our feet to be about the width of a club head. So if you take a club head, put it between your heels, that's the width of stance that we want. And we want to flare your lead foot out towards the target. Next fundamental is we want to have some pressure into that lead foot. We don't want to be leading into that trail foot. So some pressure into that lead foot, and we want our shoulders as level as possible. The tendency here is to want to help the ball in the air, lean toward our trail side, help the ball in the air, get our weight back. We really want to make sure our pressure and weight is forward. Our shoulders are as level as possible. If you have buttons on your shirt, if there's a laser pointing out of it, we want that to point in front of the golf ball. Last common fundamental is with the club face. We want to make sure we keep this club face slightly open. Tendencies to want to keep this thing closed. We want to spin this thing open slightly and then grip the club. It'll vary how much you open it based on the type of shot you're hitting, but slightly open is what we want. Quick note, why people struggle to open the face, they think it's going to affect the direction of the shot. But the more loft you have on the club, the less opening the face is going to affect the direction. Now that we talked about the common fundamentals, let's determine, okay, what is best for you? Super easy drill to help you determine. I want you to just hit some shots with just your lead arm to see how it feels like this. And then hit some shots with just your trail arm here. Good setup position. And see which one feels better for you. If you're more that lead arm player, that's going to lead to what we're going to say is more of a hinge and a hold motion. If you're more that trail arm player, it's going to be more of a throwing motion from that trail side. First fundamental to understand is when you're hitting shots, you never want the ball between your feet. What I mean by that is you want it off of your lead toe or your trail toe based on the type of shot that you're trying to hit. If you're trying to hit a high shot, you want to play it off of your lead toe. Trying to hit a lower shot, you want it off of your trail toe. The motion's pretty simple. You're just going to want to replicate that shot that you had where you're just using your lead arm. There's going to be a little bit of hinge in that lead wrist. Make sure you keep that lead wrist flat, and you're just going to hold it on the way through. That trail arm and trail hand is just on for the ride. Just feel like that lead arm is your engine, a slight hinge, that wrist flat, and hold it on the way through. This is what it would look like down the line. Slight hinge, flat wrist, turn, and hold on the way through. We don't want to let that angle out. Extremely important in this style of short game. And this is what a hinge and hold shot is going to look like. Get into a good setup position here. Just have that lead arm lead the way. Let's say the trail arm only drill felt the best to you. What are the fundamentals that need to match up for that technique and that option in the short game? Well, in this one, we can have the ball between our feet, especially for just a standard shot. It's okay to have that ball between your feet. But really, the big change here is going to be in your pivot and in your sequencing. And what I mean by that is once we get into a good setup position, as we work the club back, we're going to feel like that trail arm is now the engine. It's going to be moving. There's going to be a slight hinge of the wrist, but we need our head to go down and towards the target in the backswing. And then we want the club to head to go first, hence the throwing motion, slight throwing motion, and then the head's going to go up and back. This is really going to expose the bottom of the club or the bounce. That's why it's probably become the most popular style among professionals. Victor Hovland is a great example. He's done an awesome job of implementing this, that move of really moving down and to the left for a right-hander in the backswing. Let that club go first and then shoot up and out of it. It's going to give you a massive margin of error. Let's demonstrate hitting that more of the throw motion where we're going to feel like that trail arm is now the engine. Really going to be focusing on that pivot and that sequencing.